and welcome to another exciting AMA session here on the Chainreach Global Community. Or for those who might be joining us for the first time on the Chainreach Globals is a platform where we connect our community directly with founders and leaders building innovative projects across DeFi, reward asset, basically Web3, a fintech digital investment platform, and emerging technologies. So these sessions are designed to give our community a chance to learn directly from the builders and the founders, understand the vision behind the project, and ask meaningful questions about technology, transparency, and long-term value. So today we'll be joined by a very interesting guest, Nick, the founder of Cashflow Club. And the Cashflow Club is a position in itself as a platform focused on financial opportunities, community-driven wealth strategies, and access to investment tools and opportunity designed to help members build sustainable cash flow streams. So today we're going to dive into what Cashflow Club actually is, how the platform works, the business model behind it, how users benefit financially, security, transparency, and trust, and also what the future roadmap looks like. So if you're in the audience right now, stay tuned because we're going to be learning a lot during this session. So, Nick, it's great to have you here today. Welcome to Chainreach Global Community.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's very nice to be here.
Right. So to start things off, it would be great for the community to get to know the people behind the project. So could you introduce yourself, Nick, and the core team behind Cashflow, who you are, what your professional background look like, and what like experiences or insights led you to build this platform, and also what was like the original inspiration or problems that you saw in the market that made you decide, this is something worth creating?
Absolutely. So my name is Nick. I am a recent graduate from Northeastern University, from the people here in America. That's a school in Boston. And I was a finance and economics major. So I saw a lot about how traditional banks and traditional wealth growing systems were working. And on the side, I was also a crypto investor. So at 18 years old, I got into crypto. It was around late 2021, early 2022. So the opportunities to buy were fantastic, right? And I ended up getting into short-term trades where I turned around 86 Solana into around 2,000 Solana. And at the time, Solana was only around $20. So I quickly found myself being and getting immersed in Web3, cryptocurrency, and how the markets actually work. And like I said, I was a university student. I was also a student athlete. I did the hammer throw. I was actually 8th in the world in the hammer throw. And I did not have much time to accumulate more tokens aside from those trades that I made earlier in the year. Now, I talk about how there are three main investors in the crypto community. I talk about how there's the one who doesn't really invest, so I don't know if you want to count them as an investor. Two, there's the people who know that the cryptocurrency market is going to boom and it's going to explode. The digitalization of assets is inevitable, but you don't have time or you don't have income to actually accumulate tokens. And then the third person is the one who is accumulating on dips like we have in the market now, who is going to be very successful. So my entire thought process was, how do I get that second investor, the one who doesn't have time, or he's working his 9-to-5 job, or a student athlete, a university student? How are we going to get them to actually build wealth that the ultra rich and ultra high net worth individuals are able to use? And that's when I came to the realization that on the blockchain and in Web3, decentralized finance gives us the same exact tools that the wealthy have. If you want to go to a big investment firm, right? If you want to go to Goldman Sachs or Bank of America, you need to have $3 to $5 million in order for them to even let you sit down for them to manage your money. But decentralized finance allows you to do the same exact thing with no cap. So you can borrow, you can earn, you can lend. And most importantly, what we talk about is earning.
Yeah, that's really amazing. That's amazing, and that's really understandable. You said you were a student athlete. Would you mind telling us about that? What athlete basically were you on?
Absolutely. So I did the hammer throw. It is inside of track and field. It's the field aspect of the sport. And so throughout high school, I started actually when I was in 11th grade. By 12th grade, I won nationals. So I was the U.S. champion. By my freshman year of college, I was ranked 8th in the world for everybody 20 years old and under. And, I had a fantastic college career. It taught me a lot of things, right? It taught me time management. It taught me how to kind of, um, you know, do the things with intention. I feel like a lot of people nowadays, they don't really act with intention. And not to bring it back to investing, of course, but you need to make sure that you are using your capital. When I was an athlete, it was time, but now it's money. And you need to make sure that you're positioning it efficiently. Because if you mismanage your time or mismanage your money, that can be a very costly mistake, whether you're talking about investing, whether you're talking about, working and coming home and having your family. So it definitely taught me a lot.
Yeah, that's amazing. So basically, you've been a winner since you've been, which that's really great. That's really great. So moving ahead to the next question. So for anyone hearing about it for the first time today, could you walk us through what cash flow actually is at its core, or what problem are you trying to solve in the financial digital investment space? What kind of like real value or opportunities does the platform provide for everyday users or potential investors?
Absolutely. So we're less than a platform, right? So it's not my own platform. It's not my own, DApps, DEXs, things like that, right? What our main goal is to achieve inside of Cashflow Club is to allow normal, regular people to be able to generate meaningful yield off of their idle crypto, right? So I come from an immigrant family, grew up extremely poor, and my parents did not have the financial literacy to even really be able to invest their money and take a note that currently, right, the dollar's the weakest it's been, the US dollar's the weakest it's been in the last 5 years. Inflation's killing everybody. And I think aside from teaching people how to maximize their yields, we're really trying to make sure that your hard-earned crypto, hard-earned money, um, is not really going to waste by inflation, right? Because if you put your money inside of a bank and let's assume a low yield savings account, right? Your money is not going to outpace inflation. And I don't know if I coined this term, but I have not heard anybody else say it. There's double inflation going on in our society today. And again, I'm speaking to individuals in the U.S., but everything is getting extremely expensive, right? So I made a video and it was talking about how I bought a cup of coffee for $6.50. That is an egregious price, right? Like I said, my family's immigrants, right? So in Italy, it's €1 for coffee. In America, it's $6.50. So not only am I paying $6.50 for a coffee, which is an extreme upmark of the price, my dollar is also the weakest that it's been. So there's that double inflation. The core problem that we're trying to find, right? Yes, we do believe that decentralized finance is, going to make a break into big institutions. I think you need to be pretty naive to think that money's not going to be digitalized or that financial transactions aren't going to be digitalized just because there are so many inefficiencies inside the market today that could be easily solved with crypto and blockchain. But I really think that our main and core point is to allow the average person, like I said before, who doesn't have $3.5 to $5 million to pay a hedge fund or a big institution, to actually allow them to generate money off of their money, because that's typically only, um, you know, a skill or activity that is partaken in by high net worth individuals.
Absolutely, absolutely. So when people discover new financial platforms online, one of the first things they usually look for is transparency and credibility. So at the moment, the website has relatively limited public information,
Hmm.
and some independent checks show a lower trust score. So, which like natural raises question for potential users. Could you explain why people should feel confident using Cashflow Club, and what
Absolutely.
measures you put in place to ensure security, legitimacy, and trust for your community?
Absolutely. So that's an extremely fair question, right? Now, in terms of the, I guess you can say the low security rating, right? So Cashflow Club is more of an educational community. So we do not own, operate, or push any certain DEXs, DApps where real white papers and real information needs to kind of be broadcasted, in my opinion, right? Um, Now, if you want to shift it into talking about information and how would I get the community to trust, I guess you can say, DEXs and DApps that we use, we use platforms online that do significant audits on every single DEX, DApp, or any decentralized protocol that we will be using. And again, that is an extremely fair question, but it's also very important to clarify that we are not a custodial platform. So we never take control of individuals' funds. We just talk about how to actually position your money to start making money. So it's going to be all through third-party dApps, DEXs, and protocols. So we never actually take custody of funds. Now, members maintain full control, like I said, of their money, and we just kind of educate individuals on how to place it.
That's a really smart idea, and what you guys are doing. So, uh, let's talk about the economics behind the platform, because every sustainable project, needs like a clear business model. So, could you walk us through how Cashflow actually generates revenues as a platform, and on the other side of that, how do you members like how do members or participants benefit efficiently or financially from being part of the ecosystem?
Absolutely. So our business model is pretty simple, right? So we are a community. So essentially, my revenue is just coming from individuals joining the group. I don't get a percentage of what people make. None of that. I don't take any revenue share from individuals. They pay me a monthly rate, and I have videos and everything like that, kind of explaining how to actually position your money. We do have a private group, which is one-on-one time with me personally, and it's step by step. It's more hands-on, and it's a lot easier to deploy your capital like that. But so those are pretty much the main ways that we generate revenue. Now, how our students and how our individuals who participate are benefited, they are returning around 10 to 20% per month on their idle crypto. So I have one kid, his name is Mateo. He actually generated 22% in the month of January, which is pretty crazy because, we use advanced hedges and we use advanced risk management strategies, and we're able to really hedge the market while also generating a daily return on your yield, because we don't lock it up for the long term. You're able to take it out pretty much, or not pretty much, 24 hours a day. And, we talk about two main things inside of Cashflow Club, right? We talk about capital preservation, because you need to keep your initial capital, right? We're not in the game to lose money. We are here to take our capital, generate these yields on that idle capital, and then we rotate that money back into blue chips. So I've been buying Ethereum. Again, this is not any financial advice. This is just personally what I'm doing. I've been buying Ethereum it was at 1800, 1900, stacking up on it. Now it's over the 2000, ran up to like 2200 the other day or yesterday. I've been buying Hype. I've been saying it since $18. That's at like $33. So, our members really do benefit from these systems that we have in place. The system I don't know, again, if I coined this term a flywheel. We talk about how you generate that money in liquidity pools and inside of decentralized finance. You rotate that to more assets that are going to appreciate, and you essentially just continue to pay yourself, whether by yield or price appreciation. And yeah, so our members have had a lot of success with it. And yeah, this is something that I'm very, very excited for more people to have on their radar.
Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I just wanted to ask, have you guys thought of doing like merchandising for the Cashflow Club?
Have we thought about, I'm sorry, what?
Merchandising.
Merchandising?
Yeah.
You know, and by that you mean like
Like
clothes and
t-shirt.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's pretty funny, right? So I was gonna, for every high ticket inner circle that I have, I send them like a ceramic mug with our logo, and I send them a t-shirt.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Listen, I look at it like any group, right? There's a million Discords, Telegram groups. The platform I use is WAP, right? There's a million of them that'll tell you coin picks. That's like not really too difficult, right? Like, as I said, I made multiple six figures inside of meme coins. But there are very few groups that actually teach you how to obtain true wealth, right? Because, if you're making 20% per month, let's say, and you have $500,000, like, you're going to be able to seriously replace your income, or add at least a supplemental income. So we like to make it feel like a community versus just a group or a course, or, I truly believe that the people that I have helped, I have benefited them for the long term, right? Because I don't see DeFi, I don't see Web3, I don't see any of that going away. And the ways in which we deploy our money is liquidity pools. So, every single crypto token on the blockchain needs liquidity inside of that pot in order to even function. So as long as you're investing into blue chips and you know what you're doing, I really don't see it going away.
That's great. That's great. So, if someone joins Cashflow today, what exactly would they gain access to? Could you give us like a clear picture of the product, services, tools, or opportunities that members can expect to find within the platform, and how these offerings are designed to help them grow and manage their financial activities?
Absolutely. So the first thing, and in my opinion, the most important thing that you're going to find, is going to be structured introductory concepts into DeFi. So a lot of people, they'll even watch long form videos that I post on my YouTube, or they'll watch my shorts on YouTube. They'll watch my Instagram reels. They go, oh, deploying liquidity is extremely easy. You put it in this, but as you guys know, as investors, it's not necessarily so straightforward. There are a lot of things that you need to watch out for, a lot of key criteria that you need to make sure you implement. So we give you the introduction to the DeFi concepts. We also give you step-by-step walkthroughs on how I'm deploying capital, how other people are deploying capital. And, we have real discussions in the chat. We have ongoing market analysis, which will kind of help you to determine whether this pool is going to be better today, this farm is going to be performing better, if we should rock it up in stable coins, if, and I also give live personal updates on my positions. If I adjust, if I harvested, I do live harvests pretty much every morning. And something else that I want to stress is, we really like to push community discussions because, I've learned the most that I've ever learned about DeFi with talking to people, right? And it could be people that I know more than, but, every concept in DeFi can be looked at in a completely different frame. And I think it's extremely important to not only, listen to somebody who knows, right? But to actually develop your own understanding. So that's pretty much what you'll get if you join just the regular community. The inner circle now is a bit more hands-on, right? So you'll meet with me one-on-one from either 6 to 12 times, depending on, which tier you want to fall into. And, I give a lot of SOPs. I give different risk management strategies. You guys get priority to me. I have you guys directly linked up to a Telegram chat that I check every day. Sometimes I won't get to the mid tier, but we really like to give an interactive educational experience. And we like to make sure that although you're watching the videos, although you're understanding the concepts, that you actually know how to implement these strategies to make your money working from day one. Because, I can take somebody, I can meet with them for one of the meetings, and I can get your money, and you can get your money, most importantly, being able to cash flow, which is our main goal.
Right, that's amazing. That's really amazing. So I just want to ask, if Cashflow Club reaches a stage where new capitals entering the ecosystem significantly declines, what mechanisms are in place to ensure that the platform reward structure and economic model remains sustainable rather than collapsing under reduced inflow?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, our platform, I guess you can call it, would not really have an effect, right? Because we are not a custodial account. We are a group. In the places where we do invest, right, we do hedge risk several ways. Now, inside of DeFi and specifically inside of liquidity pools, there are two main risks that come along when you provide that liquidity. So one of the risks is going to be protocol risk. So making sure that, you're on audited DEXs and audited dApps, right? I always push this, and I'm not sponsored by them. I was in the talks to be doing something with them, so I hope we carry on. But Aave is a fantastic borrowing and lending platform. I will never recommend using a different a lending borrowing platform or any platform that I never personally used. Like, I have multiple six figures on Aave. So I know that doesn't mean much, but that shows that I am extremely confident in the platform. And the second risk that comes along with liquidity provision is going to be something called impermanent loss. So there's two sides to impermanent loss, and really one is just like the overall market sentiment dropping, right, and crypto prices dropping. And the other is if you were providing liquidity inside a pool and I was just holding a token. So let's say Ethereum, right? Because there are certain times in the market where you holding Ethereum and me being in a pool, you would make more money inside of Ethereum. So we have a number of hedges against that. One that I can talk about is how you deploy money into a lending borrowing platform and then you borrow against it. And you need to make sure that you borrow against it at a relatively low LTV, which stands for loan to value. I always tell all my students never to go over 40% because you do not want to be at risk for liquidation. If you guys remember what I said before, we are here to preserve capital and then generate a daily yield. So you do not want to go over the 83% liquidation threshold. I've seen people get liquidated because they started at 70%, 65%, because they were getting greedy. We're here to really display and show how to long-term grow your capital. And although we are getting very juicy rewards per month, right? I mean, a hedge fund or a financial institution, right? They would pray for 15%, 20% per year, right? Investment. I mean, we're getting that per month. And of course, DeFi yields aren't fixed, so some months are going to be different than others. But hedging those two risks, and especially having some shorts open on those positions, which we do talk about inside the group. We also talk about getting into blue chip assets that you firmly believe in over the next 2 to 5 years. Because, if you're just holding Ethereum, nobody's paying you any money, right? Unless you stake it, which, what are you going to get? 3% for the year. If you're long on the asset to begin with, then why not generate additional yield?
That's amazing. I really like your confidence and the way you explain the project to us here. Uh, all right. Obviously, in many modern financial platforms, we often see systems like tokenomics, staking models, sorry, yield strategies, or other structured earning mechanism being used. So, does Cashflow incorporate anything like that within the ecosystem? And if so, could you explain how these mechanisms work, how users interact with them, and what kind of like risk participants should realistically be aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. So Cashflow Club itself does not have a token, so our platform doesn't really have any tokenomics, I guess you could say. Um, but we just focus on teaching strategies that exist inside of decentralized finance, right? So some examples, we talk about liquidity provision, talk about yield farming, we talk about lending and borrowing protocols, right? Because you can easily lend out and supply your idle crypto, and you can make 5% to 8% per year easily, right? A lot of people just don't know. And of course, right, DeFi is going to come with risks. So when I say easily, I'm saying with our proven strategies, right, I have been successful. My students have been successful. Of course, people are going to lose money inside of DeFi. But again, what did we say, right? Initial capital, we want to make sure that we preserve it while generating that yield. Because there will be times where you'll lose money to impermanent loss, but your fees are outpacing it. So really you're making, right? And again, the two main risks that we tell everybody about, and we have an entire module on risks, and then we have an advanced risk management module, right? Again, protocol risk and the impermanent loss. So those are really the two risks that we watch out for. We're here to provide liquidity, talking about stablecoin yield strategies, borrowing, lending, yield farms, and really just how to preserve that capital, generate additional yield, because the person who wins in crypto isn't necessarily the person who is able to call the bottom or the top, right? It's the person who accumulates the most crypto when prices are low. I have been accumulating crypto, and people inside the group have been accumulating crypto. And I keep talking about myself, right? Because as much as I would love to talk about my members, I want to show you guys that I am participating in these yield strategies as well. I don't just talk about it. I don't teach it. I have multiple six figures inside of these yield strategies. And I think that's why, like you said, you like my confidence. I think that's why I'm so confident, right? Because like these systems work. They work for me. They were working for my students. Again, there is risk, right? You cannot, there is no investment vehicle on the face of the planet, right, that is 100% successful. There will not be. But with smart hedges and smart efficiency and allocation of your capital, you can really make it work.
Okay, so moving on to my next question. Obviously, security and credibility are extremely important, especially when people are dealing with financial platforms. So,
Mm-hmm.
have there been like any third-party audits or compliance check or legal frameworks established to ensure that the platform operates responsibly? And are there like any partnership or collaborations with other companies or organizations that help validate the legitimacy and security of Cashflow Club?
Yeah. So again, because Cashflow Club is not a protocol, we're not an exchange or custodial platform. There's no real like smart contract infrastructure that requires any auditing. We're pretty transparent with what we do, right? We teach you guys how to generate capital and generate yield on your idle crypto. So instead, members interact directly with the decentralized protocols that we talk about and we recommend, right? And as an educator, because I want to talk like a professional, as a professional, right? Because now it's not only my money that is at risk, I'm educating and I'm being a professional. We make sure that every single DApp, DEX, decentralized protocol, any single anything is third-party audited, making sure that I like to call it battle tested. You know, and from a compliance standpoint, Cashflow Club really operates as an educational platform. So we're not an investment fund. We're not an asset manager. Like I said, no custody of any of our members' money. Just our revenue model, which is that monthly subscription or the one-time fee for the inner circle.
Right. Sorry, I'd like to know about whether there are any like marketing initiative or referral incentive or strategic partnership that you're planning to roll out to attract or retain more members.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have been partnering with, I guess you can say like day trading communities and more active traders, right? Because, you know, I think that the next logical step from you make a ton of money, right? Let's say in meme coins. Now, it's extremely easy to turn nothing into something, right? But it's even easier to take your entire money that you just made and just blow it. So we've been working very closely with some groups that have members who are currently making active income, and we show them how to deploy their money when they're not using it into these platforms to generate percentages on their idle crypto. I have been in the talks with some major platforms to do partnerships with. I can't disclose the name at this time just because, you know, there's a couple of them, and I don't want to, you know, kind of stop any business proposition from them with mentioning it prematurely. But in due time, I will absolutely, you know, mention the partnership and things like that. In terms of growing, right, there are some long-term growth strategies that I am focused on building. So mainly, right, I want to make sure that more than having a bunch of members, right, I make enough money in DeFi every day where I just want the people to be active in my group, right? You know, I think that discourse inside of the investment markets, especially inside of DeFi, where it's a little less chaotic, a little less active, and more about that intentional, precise positioning of capital. You know, I want to make sure that we have a community that talks to each other and that communicates with each other. Now, most of our growth typically comes from educational content, social media presence, but a main part of our community is going to be the affiliate relationships with those groups. But I am extremely excited to announce partnerships coming into the space. But in due time, I don't want to, you know, prematurely say anything.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really great. Okay, I'd like to also clarify on this. I'd like to know how Cashflow Club handles um situations like what kind of like customer support system or transparency policies or protections that are in place to ensure users feel safe and supported in case there's like a loss of funds or anything like that.
Absolutely. So, like I said before, right, we are not a protocol. We are not a
Yeah.
brokerage. We are not, right? So, because members control their own funds, you know, Cashflow Club does not have access or custody to any user assets, right? So, we make it clear I'm not a financial advisor. Nobody on my team's a financial advisor. I didn't pass my Series 7. Yes, I went to school in finance, graduated, obviously. But, I am not a registered financial advisor. So if somebody has an issue with the strategy or needs help understanding a deployment, I'll be there, right? But again, I am not in control of your money. So there is not really anything we could do with money lost. If there's if you were charged an additional month or something like that, then I can handle money, because I wouldn't want somebody being charged for an additional month that they didn't receive access to or something along that nature. But support is directly handled inside our community, right? So live discussions, walkthrough assistance, step-by-step guidance. If there's a problem with the community, not with the protocols, we can handle that. The focus is really always on making sure members fully understand what they're doing before they deploy any capital, because like I said before, right, those concepts are going to be a really pivotal point to learn how to provide liquidity successfully. And education and risk awareness are central to everything that we do.
All right. So I'm just gonna ask my last question, and then we're gonna move on to the community question. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's always exciting to hear about what's coming next for our project. So could you share us some insights into the roadmap of Cashflow Club? What are the most some of the key short-term milestones you're working towards right now, and what larger goals or developments you hope to achieve over the next 6 to 12 months, if you can?
Absolutely, right. So I have some very exciting long-term goals and long-term visions that are in the work, but I unfortunately cannot disclose at this time, just due to everything in terms of I made sure to vet it and everything like that with my lawyers first, obviously, because I think we have some fantastic ideas and revolutionary ideas of things that have never been done before. And we have the capital on our side to really start, pushing decentralized finance and Web3 blockchain onto normal people. So in the long term, I am very excited for the things that we are going to do. Obviously, it goes without saying that I want to build one of the most trusted communities around DeFi capital deployment. And I want to expand the strategy coverage as the ecosystem evolves, of course. I mean, with all these new institutions and this is one thing I always talk about, right? Money is now going to be digitalized. If you told me back in 2021 when I first got into crypto that the United States president would be pro crypto, or that there would be the Clarity Act, an act that is in support of crypto, I would have thought you were crazy, right? If you would have told me that BlackRock or MicroStrategy, like any of these big institutions, I would not have believed you that they would have crypto. In 2026, we obviously see that they do. And so the ecosystem is going to evolve. Now, as for my short-term goals, obviously expanding educational resources inside the community. We do want to grow the member base, and we want to develop additional walkthroughs, right? Because all I want to do is to make learning DeFi easier than ever for the average person, because not everybody got into crypto in 2021 or in 2015, right? Some people are just getting into crypto today, and they are still early, right? Because the entire cryptocurrency market's cap is the same as just one stock, Amazon. So I do think that it's extremely important to speak very clearly, right? Easy understandable and easy digestible information. And, I think that's really where we strive, right? Because, a lot of people look at me and be like, oh, he's 23. How is he going to teach me anything, right? I've been in this game and I've been in this space for a long time. I've made a lot of money doing it, and I've lost a lot of money doing it, of course. And that's why I kind of tailored our strategies to fit for the normal person, right? I went to a great school, 5% acceptance rate, made a lot of money in crypto, but I'm not Albert Einstein, and I don't expect everybody else to be 160 IQ. My goal is to improve every day inside of our group and make sure that people will have a clear, transparent understanding of what we do, why we do it, and why they're succeeding so well.
Right, just in time. I think that gives everyone here a much clearer understanding of how Cashflow Club operates and what the long-term vision looks like. So now we're going to move into the question and answer segment, which is always the most one of the most important and exciting parts of the session. So
Absolutely.
I see Nathan. Nathan, your mic is unmuted. You can ask your question now.
Hi guys, hope I'm audible.
Yeah,
Can you
sure
hear
you
me?
are.
Yep. Hello.
Okay, all right. My question is, as more people start looking at crypto as a way to earn passive income, what do you think most investors misunderstand about generating real cash flow in DeFi, and how does cash flow clubs help people avoid those common mistakes?
Absolutely. So I
That's
think
my question.
yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, so there are two main misconceptions, right, when it comes into making that passive yield. The first one is, people think that you need $100,000 or $500,000 or $1 million, right, to make a meaningful return. But the truth is that if you have $1,000, right, you know, it's very easy to take your money and go lose it in a meme coin. But if you structure that and make it work for you, right, you can really grow any sort of money to be meaningful. I don't look at generating yield and decentralized finance as too much of a money game, right? Yes, when I do market on short form, I talk about the big numbers that I make because it garners attention. But if you really want to speak on a trader level for an everyday person, right, it's about the percentage return. I would give somebody in this chat one Ethereum, right? Let's say I would give somebody money because I don't think that there is any other way aside from decentralized finance, to really generate 20% per month using strategies. Of course, you can trade your way. Of course, you can invest in real estate, and price appreciation is going to go up and refinance. I do have a broad understanding of pretty much every single market, but I have not experienced an easier way to generate and grow money than DeFi. And the second misconception that a lot of people have, everyday traders, is that you can just deploy your money into DeFi and it's going to make money. As much as I do believe that DeFi and Web3 blockchain has capabilities to generate DeFi yield, you need to implement strategies. If you do not have any strategies, you will lose all your money inside of DeFi. So just to recap, right, the biggest misconceptions and the biggest pitfalls of new investors into DeFi crypto is, one, being discouraged, thinking that you need $1 million to start. No, you can start with $100. You can start with $1,000. You can start today generating yield, a meaningful yield on that money, right? And two, it's jumping into the pitfall, right? Because I didn't have anybody to really teach me how to do this. I had to learn myself and then find other creators, collaborate, and navigate myself through. And I aim to be every day, essentially my goal, right? I want to help people, because I believe that if I had me right now, back when I first got into DeFi, I would have made a lot more money. I would have avoided a lot more mistakes, and I ultimately would have been a lot more profitable.
Yeah, thanks for your answer to my question.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
All right. I can see Leon. Leon, your mic is unmuted. Leon, the
Hello guys,
professional.
how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. So my question is, what makes your project different and similar than other projects in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Can you hear me?
yes, I hear you. Yep. So, how is my project different from others in the space, right? Um, a lot of projects in the space, they don't really do in-depth risk management, right? At least the ones that I've seen, they kind of lack on the risk management, and they also um are not as hands-on, right? So I don't even think that they have again, I'm not really crazy familiar with a lot of their price structuring, but I don't even believe that they do have an inner circle where they can assist people and walk them through. So I would say that positioning myself, as a more hands-on uh, individual and educator really differentiates myself. Also, I mean, the clear fact, right? I'm young. So a lot of my knowledge and experiences, they have really matured me inside of the markets. Not only have I been in the markets for a while, but I've also went to a target school in the United States, right? A prestigious university where I learned about traditional finance. We learned about decentralized finance as well. And I'm able to see how those kind of complement each other. So I do believe that I am the only creator with a actual finance degree. So yeah, I believe that's what makes me uh, different than a lot of the others.
All right, Itachi. Um, Thanks for your question. So I'm gonna move
Yes,
to.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for answering, and I wish you all success and good luck in your project, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I'm thinking I'm gonna go with Sophia. Sophia, your mic is unmuted. All right, let's move. Let's move to Ramsey. Ramsey, your mic is unmuted. I think Sophia's having some technical problems, I guess. Sophia, are you there? All right, let's move to Jeremy. Jeremy, I already mute you. You can ask your question.
Yeah, I'm audible. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Thanks for muting me. Nice to meet you, Nick.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So, I have to apologize for not being here from the beginning. So, I pretty much didn't hear most of what you said, but I looked through the website and I saw what you're about. So, I think I get the gist of what cash flow is about. But I have a question, and I think the question might give you a little bit of setback. So, I apologize beforehand. So the question is based on you mentioned something about strategies. I just want to know, does Cashflow provide curated DeFi opportunities or like strategy playbook that members can follow? And if so, do you think members are allowed to encourage or encouraged to build their own DeFi strategies, or is the focus mainly following the strategy presented by the mentors?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question, right? So yes, we don't really, and it's very difficult, right, to only have one strategy or one way to do something inside of DeFi, right? So that's not what we offer. I'm not saying, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that. I do believe and I do use multiple different strategies. Obviously, they all are going to be around the same thing, right? Managing risk, making sure that the opportunity is, risk to reward is there. But there are many different ways and different platforms and different dexes that you can use. So we don't have one set in stone strategy. Now, I think it's also important to note that you are going to have different strategies and implement different criteria for, let's say, a bull run versus a bear run, right? Or you're going to, have different strategies when the market's going sideways versus if it's extremely volatile. For example, right? As I talked about before, I know you said you weren't in the meeting, right? But there's something called a flywheel. So we talk about how taking that liquidity pool income, we take that and we can toss it to a couple of different things. So I recommend either throwing it to stable tokens. So if the market dips, you can buy. You put it into blue chip hodls, which hold on for dear life. So you accumulate as many tokens as you can. Or 3, you can take it and you can cash out on lifestyle. In the current market situation right now, I am not telling you to put it in stables just in case we go lower. I'm not telling you to cash out, or I don't recommend to cash out. I am recommending buying all this crypto. And now, again, if you want to now go take it and put it into stables because you think the market's going lower, do it. If you want to throw it back into the liquidity pool so you can make more money, do it. I just tell you what I recommend, and there are many different ways that you can go. Now, as you get more experienced, you can start now creating and moving things around in the strategy to maneuver how you want. Again, it's like anything, right? Sports, music, instruments, there are going to be many core concepts that you pretty much don't want to move away from, but there are different styles and different added flares that you can incorporate into your decentralized finance journey.
That's nice. That's nice. That's a bit um that's not a bit. It's a much better explanation on how it works, and I appreciate that. And again, I apologize for setting you bringing you back to explaining
No,
the
no, no
okay.
worries. No worries, my friend.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I don't know if I can ask you one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
I mean, I don't mind. I don't want to speak for Chainreach, but I don't mind if you ask another question.
No worries. You're the guest. You can decide.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Another question.
Thank you very much. So just for educational purposes and for self-interest, I just want to know what is a strategy that is being shared by the mentors or within the community, like underperforms or results in losses and the things like that. Does the platform actually provide any like review process to analyze what went wrong and the strategies and improve for future strategies? Just for personal reasons.
Absolutely. So yes. So we do obviously review different pools that we jump into, different farms, different stablecoin strategies. And specifically inside of the inner circle, that's where more of the analyzation is going to happen, just because that's going to be more client to client. So each individual in the inner circle is going to be built out a investor profile, going to talk about your risks, talk about your appetite, talk about everything. And, we really get one-on-one hands-on work and really get people to deploy their capital. So yes, we do edit and we do analyze and really see where, if we do mess up, how to fix it and how to move on, which we haven't had any mess ups yet, knock on wood, right? Everybody's been profitable, but again, you need to always anticipate that.
Yeah, I mean it's the market. Sometimes it doesn't always goes well, and at the same time, you have to set a kind of a backup plan in case of any fallback setback that might spoil things for you. But I'm sure that you explain a lot, and I appreciate you answering my two questions and
Yes, of course.
giving me a and again, thank you very much for the setback and explanation everything for me. I appreciate it, man.
Of
So
course.
that's all for me, and good luck to you your project, and
Thank you,
very
my friend.
nice. Yeah, nice talking to you.
Thank you. Oh, I just
Yeah,
had to turn
thanks.
my camera off 1 second. I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah, sure.
But I can continue to speak.
All right. Sophia, you can ask away now. If your camera is too, your mic is still working.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Nice presentation, Nick.
Oh, thank you.
So I just want to know, beyond vision and projections, what verifiable traction can you point to today? User growth metrics, revenue partnerships, or retainable data that demonstrates real product market fit rather than just speculative momentum.
I'm sorry, I don't really understand the question.
I said beyond vision and projections, what verifiable traction can you point out today? For example, users metrics, revenue partnerships, or retention data that actually demonstrates real product market fit rather than speculative momentum.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So we do have the statistics of all our students. I pride myself in, showing and being completely transparent with them on, how the moves, what percentages are going to be generated, so on and so forth. So, one thing that I really do stress is, knowing exactly how my clients and people in my inner circle are going to be profiting, in terms of each pools, right? I think that that's the question that you were asking.
Exactly.
Perfect.
All right, Sophia. Thanks for your question. We're gonna go with Ramsey. Ramsey, your mic is unmuted. Go ahead. Ramsey Joy, you can ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think it's a Telegram. But go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me?
You guys hear her, right? Do you guys hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, thank you. All right, my question is, what exactly am I exposed to? Can you walk us through the capital structure token allocation, if any, lockups and contingency plans in a worst case scenario where growth stalls or funding becomes limited?
Yeah, absolutely. So again,
Okay.
right? I really do want to stress this because I think it will change the structure of everybody's questions.
Okay.
We are not a protocol. We are not a custodial account, right? So theoretically, like you said, if the funds dry up, so we are an educational platform, right?
Okay.
So we don't really take too much consideration. Obviously, we look into where liquidity is being driven into the market. So it's easy to rotate. So let's say, Hyperliquid for me has been something that I have been providing liquidity on for the last month and a half. And that's where the most liquidity has been. Now, that means I rotated from a different token that I was in. It was called Zora. And I was making roughly 1% per day on my Zora holdings. Now, I like how you talked about capital allocation, right? Because it really bleeds into the frameworks and strategies that we implement every single day inside the group. So, again, like I say, right, the flywheel. The flywheel talks about how the flow of money from your wallet to the liquidity pool. Then you take the liquidity pool profits and you can do a number of things. You can cash out, you can buy crypto, you can put money into stables, or you can put it back into the liquidity pool to generate more money, because obviously the same percent of more money is going to be more money than, a lower deposit. So we do, talk about different ways and different strategies in deployment. In risk management, we talk about different strategies on what to do with it. Actually, somebody who I am working with right now is paying their mortgage on a rental property with the yield that they're generating. So there's a lot of different people, a lot of different groups. Again, whether you have 6 or 12 meetings with me, each one is obviously going to add an additional layer of depth. But we do like to, promote different types of investments. And to next touch on your question about worst case scenario, we do have advanced hedging. So I like to make sure that everybody, before they even provide liquidity and generate money, that they are hedged to the max, right? Because again, our two main focal points inside of our group is capital preservation and generation of yield. So we talk about a number of hedging strategies.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
All right, everyone, as we begin to wrap things up, we've come to the final part of today's AMA. First of all, I want to sincerely thank our guest, Nick, for taking the time to join us and walk the community through Cashflow and the vision behind it and the opportunities that the platform is aiming to create. It's always valuable when the founders come directly into the community to share insights, answer questions openly, and give people a clearer understanding of what they're building. And of course, a big thanks to you as well for everyone who tuned in today, whether you've been following the discussion from the beginning or you just joining somewhere in the middle. So we truly appreciate you being here and contributing to the conversation. So your curiosity, your questions, and your engagement are what makes this session meaningful and worthwhile. And at Chainreach Global, our goal is with these AMAs is to create a space where communities and projects and founders can connect directly and have transparent discussions and explore the idea and technologies shaping the future of digital finance and online investment ecosystem. So conversations like this one we had today help everyone to get a deeper understanding of new platforms. So the problem that they aim to solve, and the vision driving the development. So Nick, it's been great to have you with us today, and hearing more about your direction and what you guys are taking with Cashflow. So before we conclude the session, I'd like to give you the floor one final time. Are you there, Nick?
Yeah, I'm here. Absolutely.
If sorry, let me just finish
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Go ahead.
If there are any closing thoughts you'd like to share with the community, whether it's upcoming developments, things your team is currently working on, opportunities for people you want to get involved, or some simply where the community can follow your updates and stay connected with Cashflow, this is a perfect moment to let everyone know.
Absolutely. So first off, I just want to thank Chainreach Global for having me. This is a fantastic opportunity, and I get to do what I love, right? I love to talk about DeFi. I love being an educator and being a professional coming on here talking to everybody. Second, I do want to thank every single guest here today. I want to thank everybody who asked questions, because without you, there would be no purpose for me to even be here. So I do appreciate that. And I want to give you guys and leave you guys with the last thought, right? So they always say that money does not grow on trees, right? But I know a quote, and there's a specific way that I like to frame my mind, and I believe that money does grow on trees, right? If you plant it correctly. So nobody's going to come to your house or come to your apartment and hand you money, right? But there are ways that you can take existing capital, position it, and allocate it efficiently to grow for you while you sleep, right? So I think that that's something, and I think a lot of people need to change their mental model when it comes to making money, because in 2026, I see a lot of people thinking that they can only make money through active income. And although I am a strong proponent of active income, right, you need to have your money work for you even while you sleep, or you'll be working for the rest of your life. And I do appreciate you guys being here. And for Chainreach and everybody in here, for this, I guess you could say AMA, I am giving you guys, if you guys want to join Cashflow Club, I'm giving you an exclusive promo code. You type in Chainreach and you get your first month 50% off. I also have a completely free DeFi Telegram chat where I update everything. And if you guys really want to get into depth, talk about how to make your money work from you from day one, you can schedule a call with me on my website. So again, I do really appreciate you having me. And again, code Chainreach on my platform, and you get 50% off on your first month. So thank you guys again.
All right. Thank you for your time, Nick. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye.